Ripple has let out all the juicy details regarding Ripple Swell 2025. And to be honest, this lineup is just amazing. I'm sure this is going to be the biggest Ripple Swell we've ever seen, with all the great speakers they've lined up and everything else going on around the event. You know how I always say that Ripple Swell is one of a kind? David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, said something really interesting that sums it up perfectly. Give it some thought. We're talking about a blockchain business that has been putting on what is basically a banking conference for more than 10 years. He said Ripple Swell was a banking conference in the same way. That statement makes perfect sense when you see the amazing names that are coming up and the themes they're covering. But here's what really gets me. How can a blockchain startup get this many top traditional finance executives to work together? By the way, we need to talk about some really important news. Believe it or not, the CEO and chair of NASDAQ is flying to New York City to give the keynote speech at Ripple Swell 2025. Adina Friedman is going to talk about where our financial system is going, what digital assets and blockchain actually mean for our future, and how tokenization and other new technologies are changing everything. When you think about it, this is a big deal. We're seeing a fundamental change in the way our financial system works, from how we buy and sell stocks to how we store them, and even the underlying infrastructure that makes it all possible. And speaking of NASDAQ, don't forget that they just said they would switch to 24/5 trading, with 24/7 trading starting in 2026. These big names are officially all in, and guess what? We have even more exciting news. An investor says that BlackRock is going to Ripple Swell 2025, too. Maxwell Stein is the director of digital assets at BlackRock, and that's who we're talking about. You can see why this is such a big issue when you look at Maxwell's history. This guy's job is to create and build products that are all about crypto assets, stablecoins, and tokenized assets. That's a rather big increase to the list of speakers, isn't it? Now, you can find out more about this event on the official Ripple Swell website. It will take place in New York from November 4th to 5th this year. Wow, we've previously heard about the NASDAQ chair and CEO, but there's also Sandy Cole from Franklin Templeton on the list of guest speakers. You also have some big names from the traditional finance world. We're seeing the global head of digital assets from Citi's Treasury and Trade Solutions Group, as well as the chief product and innovation officer from BNY. When you look at the whole list of speakers, you'll see that it's a who's who of finance and crypto, including BlackRock, Fidelity, Hidden Road, DBS Bank, CME Group, XTX Markets, and of course Ripple itself. I think this list is going to get longer, so we should surely keep an eye out for news, but really, this is going to be one of the biggest crypto events of the year. Ripple plans to cover everything from genuine customer tales to insights from their team and industry leaders over the course of 2 full days. They're really getting into how both banks and businesses are using cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in the real world. The things they're talking about are really interesting. We're talking about payments, advances in regional regulation, cryptocurrency and financial services, changes in the business, and a lot more. I'm really looking forward to this event, and I think everyone should pay attention to what's going on here. These are not just small talk. These talks will essentially change how money moves around the world all day, every day, and radically change how our traditional markets work. People, this is very crucial. You should add November 4th and 5th to your calendars right now. You should definitely keep those dates open because I promise that social media will be full of news and updates during that period. But hold on, let's get to the truly significant news that just came out. This is a big deal because the SEC has officially altered its mind about crypto ETPs. They just put forth new rules for listing crypto ETPs in a new exchange file. This is the thing that will transform the game. Any coin that has been traded on CME-based derivatives for more than 6 months is likely to get approved. We are talking about getting approval for several altcoin ETFs in September or October. And it's interesting to think about what projects could be featured. XRP is absolutely on that list, along with Hedera, XLM, Chainlink, Avalanche, Polkadot, and even Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. This is the kind of modification in the rules that might make a big difference for these cryptocurrencies. I really want you to get what's going on here. These ETFs aren't simply about, oh, our crypto bags are going to go up. That's not even close to seeing the whole picture. What we're seeing is crypto taking over Wall Street in a way that has never happened before. Cryptocurrency and digital assets are radically changing the way traditional finance works, and it's something we've never seen before. The sounds it's making are so loud that they are deafening. They can't ignore it or drown it out anymore. Of course, back then they could just ignore this material and act as crypto didn't exist. They may say, oh yeah, crypto, it's just a passing trend, and wave their hands. It will go away. They might have been able to say that in 2020 or 2021, but it's 2025 now and things are very different. BlackRock is in the mix, Fidelity's all in, Franklin Templeton is making moves, all the big banks are now involved, and here's a fact that will blow your mind. Stablecoins currently make up more than 1% of the world's M2 money supply. The change is definitely here. We can see it happening there in front of us, and there's no way to ignore it anymore. That's why these ETFs will get the go-ahead so swiftly. In the next several months, a lot of money is going to flow into the space, I'm telling you. But here's the part that really stands out. Retail investors aren't here yet, even though we've seen some wild waves in the past. Right now, the big players in this sector are the institutions. These ETFs are great for institutional money to give individual investors a lot of digital assets and crypto in a very small amount of time. These ETFs are going to make a lot of noise, so think about it. The mainstream media will go crazy over them, and they'll be heavily promoted to regular investors. That's what will bring that flood of ordinary investors back into crypto. Listen to this. John Squire just gave some amazing information. The SEC has put out these new rules for listing crypto ETPs. Any altcoin that has been traded on futures for 6 months or more could qualify. Here's the catch for anyone who owns XRP. XRP has been doing really well in derivatives, with more than 30,000 in volume and more than 23,000 in open interest. It really does fit all the requirements. This suggests that an XRP ETF could arise in September or October. And if you think about the time, remember what I've been saying about the Fed, they are likely to lower rates in September, October, and December. I can't really put into words how excited I am for September to come around, given how insanely optimistic the environment is for the altcoin market right now. We're going to see some big fireworks soon. Honestly, this is a very exciting time to be looking at altcoins. But when you look at all the ETF filings the SEC has right now, you'll be amazed. We aren't simply talking about 11 ETFs. Some of these corporations, like VanEck, have applied for 4. Various XRP exchange-traded funds. When you add it all up, it looks like there are almost 18 distinct XRPs that are waiting for approval. And this is the best part. Once one of them gets the green light, all of them will follow like dominoes. A lot of you keep asking, but what about BlackRock? Nate Graxy recently posted an extremely fantastic perspective on this. He still thinks that BlackRock will launch both XRP and Swell ETFs, and to be honest, his reasoning makes perfect sense. Does it really make sense that the biggest asset manager in the world, who is now in charge of both the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF markets, would basically overlook 2 of the top 5 non-stablecoin crypto assets? He also thinks they will offer an index-based crypto ETF, and here's why. If you're going to start an index-based crypto ETF, which he is very sure they will, then, of course, you're going to start individual spot ETFs as well. I appreciate how he talks about the full BlackRock thinks XRP is a fraud story, but it loves Ethereum. He says, look, this is just business. If they don't go after these other spot ETFs, they're effectively making themselves an easy target for competitors. And what does that say to their customers? That Bitcoin and Ethereum would always be the only 2 victors in crypto. If people really think that, that's good, but he thinks they don't. Vanguard is still being very careful. They love blockchain, but they won't touch Bitcoin yet. It simply goes to demonstrate how new this all is. But to be honest, they'll probably join in eventually too. But, boy, this is something that really blew my mind. Big thanks to Dom Quack for finding this treasure. Coinbase's profits for the second quarter of 2025 just released some crazy information. Are you ready for this?